Hey, Brad Lively here. Today I want to talk to you about the top 3 relationship killers that are plaguing our society. Now, the first thing I'll say is that these relationship killers are rooted in fear. And something that you should write down if you're taking notes. When fear is your method, division is your destiny. I'll say it again. When fear is your method, division is your destiny. So, just to let you know about me, since I was a little kid, I've been battling with fear. I have been in this lifelong war with fear. But God in His mercy, along the way, has been giving me revelation, wisdom, and insight and understanding concerning this enemy called fear and how to combat it, how to overcome it. And so my heart is to share these things with you in hopes that you will have successful relationships, in hopes that you will be able to pursue your purpose, your calling, your destiny, and overcome. But you're going to have to overcome this battle with fear. So today I'm going to talk to you about the fruit of fear that is showing up in our society that is damaging, destroying, dividing the necessary relationships in our lives. Listen, in the kingdom, nothing is done alone. God is not calling you to be a loner. He's calling you to be in family. That is where our victory lies, in family. And if we can't overcome fear in our relationships, then we're going to stay small. We're going to stay weak. The enemy will overcome us. So we have got to learn to connect as a family. And the only way we're going to learn to connect as a family is to become aware of fear and how to combat it. So let me tell you how I came to know about these 3 relationship killers. It was 20 years ago. I was in the Air Force, stationed in Minot, North Dakota, in the frozen tundra. I've never been so cold in my life. I was in nuclear missiles. And so when we pulled alert, we went out we drove anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on where we went that day. We went down in the missile capsule, and I was controlling the panels, and my crew partner was sleeping. And because there was nothing going on, I was watching TV, and this woman came on. And I'll never forget this day, because it literally changed my life. It made me aware of something I had never seen. And so she began sharing. She shared on the 3 forms of control. And if you don't know this, fear controls. Fear controls. The fruit of fear, the fruit of a lie, is control. And so the first form of control that she shared on, and if you're watching this video in conjunction with a 1-pager, you can take notes in the 3 sections on the bottom for each relationship killer. The first relationship killer, the first form of control that I'm going to talk to you about, is domination. Domination says, I'll make you do it my way. So let me just read a quick passage to illustrate this point. It's in Exodus 1:8. Then a new king who did not know about Joseph came to power in Egypt. Look, he said to his people, the Israelites have become much too numerous for us. If you're taking notes, write this down. Fear opposes growth. Fear likes to keep things small. Come, we must deal shrewdly with them, or they will become even more numerous. And if war breaks out, we'll join our enemies, fight against us, and leave the country. You know what this tells me about the king? That he was afraid. He was afraid of rejection. And he made a lot of assumptions there. So that's what fear does. It builds its belief system off assumptions. And it usually believes the worst. So, because he had this thought of fear that entered, and then he shared it with his people, they aligned with that fear and they began to take action in alignment with what they believed. That's what we do as people. We take action in alignment with our belief system. That's why it's so important that our belief system is built on truth. Because then we're going to be successful. Then we're going to build something that can't be shaken. But when your belief system is built on a lie, or i.e. fear, it starts breaking things down. So let's see what he does. Let's see what action he takes because of his fear. So they put slave masters over them to oppress them with forced labor. And they built Pithom and Ramesses as store cities for Pharaoh. So because of Pharaoh's fear, he forced Israel into slavery. Now this was a relationship. Israel had moved down and set up shop in Egypt. And so these two countries were in relationship with each other. Just like a relationship between a husband and a wife almost. You can correlate the two. So when Egypt became afraid of Israel's growth and departure, slave masters were placed over the people to oppress them. And what they began to do was make Israel seem small in their own eyes. They enslaved the entire nation. Well, this happens in marriage, right? When one becomes fearful of the other, they begin to enslave the other. They begin to confine the other, restrict, imprison. It actually becomes a slave relationship. Have you seen that? Have you seen a relationship where the stronger one takes on the form of a slave master and the weaker one takes on the form of a slave? It happens all the time. And it is destructive to the relationship. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. God was not going to let Israel stay small because he loved them. So the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites and worked them ruthlessly. They made their lives bitter with hard labor in brick and mortar and with all kinds of work in the fields. In all their hard labor, the Egyptians used them ruthlessly. Fear uses and abuses. That is what Satan's goal is for all of humanity. To use us and abuse us, to divide us and destroy us. And that is what he's doing in our relationships. When we are afraid, we seek to dominate, to enslave, to ensure they won't leave us, to ensure they won't lie to us, or whatever the case, to ensure they won't hurt us. We begin to employ fear tactics. So the first one's domination. It's when you use force, overpowering force, to control someone or something and make it do what you want it to do. The second relationship killer that I'll talk about today, and that the woman also shared, is intimidation. Intimidation says, I'll scare you into doing it my way. This is used probably more than any of the others. I mean, it leverages our fear to force us in a direction that it wants us to go. How do we do this in a marriage relationship? A woman who knows the husband values and needs intimacy could threaten to take away intimacy if the husband doesn't do what she wants. A man could threaten to leave the woman if he knows she fears rejection and has become codependent on him. Then he can threaten to leave her in order to force her in a direction that he wants her to go. It happens all the time. We have become masters at getting our way. The problem is we haven't learned to do it God's way. And so we employ tactics that are destructive to the relationship, all because we want to get our way. The hardest person for us to trust God for and not control is our spouse or our children. Why? Because they're so intimately connected to us. And when someone is connected to us, we don't want mistakes. We don't want to have to endure anything hard or difficult or uncomfortable. And so the way we try and mitigate that is through control, through intimidation, through domination. We try and scare them into doing what we want them to do. How many of you know this is extremely deadly? When we choose fear, we usher in darkness, because fear produces an atmosphere of darkness, and no one feels safe in darkness. There is no life that grows and flourishes in darkness. But this is what control does. It confines, it restricts, it imprisons, it enslaves. Guys, we have to wake up. We have to become aware of what fear is doing to us. All right, the third form of control, the third relationship killer that this woman shared that day was manipulation. Manipulation. Manipulation says, I'll trick you into doing it my way. Manipulation uses deception to make someone feel like they have to go a certain way. We use it all the time. And manipulation, it doesn't matter if you're weaker physically or stronger. Anybody can deceive. Anybody can trick. But when we're doing it when we're doing it from a place of fear, and we're using deception to force someone in a direction we want them to go, it's destructive. It's destructive. It's divisive. It breaks the vital or essential quality of a relationship, which is trust. This is what a relationship killer does. It destroys the vital or essential quality of the relationship. That is trust. When trust is broken, the relationship dies. Disconnection occurs. So if you're a parent or a spouse and you're trying to dominate, manipulate, or intimidate your partner or your child, you are inviting fear. You're inviting darkness into the relationship. You are prophesying division and destruction over your future. And you're essentially choosing death over life. It's a big deal. It is a big deal. Relationships are destroyed every day because of fear. And we have to understand how this works, and we have to begin to look inward. We have to begin to see what we are doing in our own lives and to the people that we are trying to love, so that we can stop this. We have to reverse the momentum. We have to begin to choose love over fear. We have to actually begin to trust what God says over what we want. This is what lordship is all about. So I encourage you, take inventory. When you're trying to get your way, I want you to begin to evaluate what you're doing to trying to get your way. Are you using fear to try and control the person, to try and push them or force them in a direction that you want them to go? All right, I hope this was helpful. My heart is to help as many people, as many families, as many relationships as possible to get healthy and to heal. That's why I started my coaching company. You can go to trustlovecoaching.com if you want to email me or book a coaching session. I would be glad to sit down with you for 30 minutes and see if this is a good fit, free of charge. But I want to redeem the culture from fear back to love. All right, y'all be blessed, and I'll talk to you soon.